Listen up. Financial experts are literally screaming that 2025 could bring the worst economic collapse we've seen since 2008. And here's the kicker. If it hits the same scale as last time, we're talking about 8.7 million people losing their jobs by 2026. But here's what the media won't tell you. While everyone's panicking about their stock portfolios, the smart money is quietly hoarding these 11 specific items. And honestly, most people have no clue what's coming. So if you want to protect your family when the grocery store shelves go empty and ATMs stop working, you need to hit that subscribe button right now and stick around for every single item on this list. Because by the time your neighbors figure this out, it'll be way too late. Let's dive in, starting with the one thing that could literally save your life, and it's probably not what you think. Item 1. Cash and small bills. Okay, so picture this. It's 2021 Texas. The power grid just collapsed. Millions of people are sitting in the dark, and you know what? Their fancy credit cards and Apple Pay became completely useless pieces of plastic overnight. I'm talking about people who couldn't buy water, couldn't get gas, couldn't even buy a candy bar because every single payment system was down. The only people who could actually buy stuff? The ones with cold, hard cash in their wallets? And here's the really scary part. Most Americans right now have less than $400 in cash on hand. Think about that for a second. $400. That's like, what, 2 weeks of groceries? But wait, it gets worse. The government's own ready.gov website literally tells you to keep cash and small bills because, and I quote, ATMs and credit cards may not work during a disaster. They're basically admitting that our entire payment system could just stop working. Look, I get it. Who carries cash anymore, right? We're all tapping our phones and swiping cards. But think about the last time your area lost power for more than a few hours. Remember how quickly everything just stopped? That's exactly what I'm talking about. So here's what you need to do. And I mean like this weekend. You need to have 3 to 6 months of your basic expenses in cash, not in your checking account. Actual physical cash. And here's the key part. It needs to be in small bills. We're talking 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. Because imagine trying to buy a $10 item with a $100 bill when the cash register can't make change and there's no power to verify anything. You're basically handing over $90 for free. That's not smart. That's just expensive. But cash is just the beginning. Because when the stores run out of food, and trust me, they will, you're going to need the next item on this list. Item 2. Long-term food storage. Okay, number 2 is going to blow your mind. And honestly, this one hits close to home for me, because I learned this lesson the hard way during the 2020 lockdowns. Here's something that'll keep you up at night. Experts are now saying that if we see another economic depression, a single loaf of bread could cost you $100. Yeah, you heard that right. $100. For bread. Look, I remember standing in those empty grocery aisles in March 2020, staring at completely bare shelves where the rice and pasta used to be. And that was just a supply chain hiccup. Imagine what happens when the whole system breaks down. But here's the thing, most people get wrong about food storage. They think they need to buy those expensive survival meal kits that taste like cardboard. Wrong. The latest research from preparedness experts shows you should be stockpiling foods you actually eat every day. I'm talking rice, beans, canned goods, flour, the boring stuff that keeps your family fed. White rice lasts forever if stored properly. Beans are protein powerhouses. And here's the kicker. FreezeDried foods can literally last 25 to 30 years. That's longer than most marriages. And get this. With inflation hitting food prices hard in 2025, you're basically locking in today's prices for food you'll need tomorrow. It's like having a grocery store time machine. But seriously, when your kids are asking what's for dinner and the stores are empty, you'll thank yourself for having a pantry that looks like a small grocery store. Start buying extra of what you already eat. Your future self will literally thank you. Item 3. Water filtration systems. All right, let's talk about something that'll shock you. By 2025, that's literally this year, 2/3 of the world's population may be facing water shortages. And here's the kicker that nobody talks about. By 2040, roughly 1 in 4 children worldwide will be living in areas of extremely high water stress. But here's what really freaked me out when I was researching this. In 2018, Cape Town, South Africa, a modern city, literally ran out of drinking water. We're talking about people standing in lines with buckets, folks. This isn't some distant future scenario. This is happening now. And you know what happens when a crisis hits? Water filtration equipment gets grabbed fast. Everyone suddenly realizes they need it. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you saw toilet paper during the pandemic? Same thing's going to happen with water filters, except this time, it's not about convenience. It's about survival. Look, I learned this the hard way during Hurricane Sandy. My buddy thought he was smart. He had cases of bottled water stored up. Problem was, his basement flooded, and all those bottles got contaminated with sewage water. Guess what? His $200 worth of bottled water became useless plastic. But his neighbor? She had a simple $50 portable filter, and she was drinking clean water for weeks, while everyone else was fighting over the last bottles at the store. Here's what the experts don't want you to know. You need multiple backup systems, not just one filter. That's amateur hour. The Sawyer Mini removes 99.99% of bacteria and protozoa, fits in your pocket, and lasts for thousands of gallons. That's your personal backup. But for your family, the IT Hill portable water filtration system can filter 7 gallons on a single charge and removes particles as small as 0.001 microns. We're talking about filtering literally anything. Pond water, river water, even pool water in an emergency. And here's something that'll blow your mind. Gravity-fed systems like the Outback Emergency Filter can produce 24 gallons per day without electricity, batteries, or anything. Just gravity. While your neighbors are rationing their last few bottles, you're producing clean water by the gallon. Look, I get it. You're thinking, this won't happen to me. That's exactly what the folks in Cape Town thought. That's what people in Flint, Michigan thought. That's what everyone thinks, until they're holding an empty glass under a dry faucet. The truth is, more than half the world's wetlands have disappeared since 1900, and our water systems are becoming more stressed every year. This isn't fear-mongering. This is basic math. So here's what you're going to do. Get at least 3 different filtration methods. A portable straw filter for each family member, a gravity system for your home, and a high-capacity system if you really want to be prepared. Because when the taps run dry, having clean water isn't just about comfort. It's about staying alive. And trust me, you want to buy these now while they're still available and affordable. Item 4, precious metals. All right, let's talk about something that might shock you. While everyone's obsessing over gold right now, smart money is quietly loading up on silver. And here's why this could be the most important decision you make in 2025. Silver just hit $36.39 an ounce. That's up nearly 30% in the first half of 2025 alone and reached a 13-year high. But here's the kicker. Some experts are predicting it could hit $100 per ounce. Yeah, you heard that right. $100. Look, I get it. When people think precious metals, they think gold. It's like when you think luxury cars, you think Ferrari, not Toyota. But let me tell you something. At around $32 per ounce versus gold at $3,400, silver is the Toyota that performs like a Ferrari. Here's what blew my mind when I started researching this. The silver market has been in a deficit for 5 consecutive years. We're talking about 182 million ounces more demand than supply in 2024 alone. That's like, imagine if there were 182 million more people wanting iPhones than Apple could actually make. What happens to the price? But here's where it gets really interesting for crisis preparation. Picture this scenario: the economy tanks, ATMs stop working, credit cards are useless. You walk into a grocery store with a 1-ounce gold coin worth $3,400. Good luck getting change for a $20 grocery bill, right? But with silver. At $32 an ounce, you've got perfect bartering power. It's like having the exact change for survival. And get this, President Trump's tariff plans are already causing smart investors to rush into silver warehouses. The writing's on the wall, folks. Russia and Mexico, who control 21% of global silver production, are dealing with conflicts and regulatory changes. Supply is getting tighter by the month. But wait, there's more. Silver industrial demand is about to hit a record high, over 700 million ounces for the first time ever. Why? Because every single solar panel, every electric car, every smartphone needs silver to function. By 2050, solar energy alone could eat up 85 to 98% of current global silver reserves. So here's what you need to do, and honestly, you need to do it before your neighbors catch on. Start with junk silver. Pre-1965 quarters and dimes. They're recognizable, divisible, and perfect for small trades. Then move to 1-ounce rounds or bars. Keith Neumeyer, CEO of First Majestic Silver, isn't just predicting $100 silver, he's talking $130 per ounce. And other analysts are calling for $50 by the end of 2025. Even if they're half wrong, you're still looking at massive gains. Look, I'm not saying dump everything into silver, but if you can afford to buy a few ounces now while it's still under $40, well, let's just say your future self might thank you. Because when this crisis hits and everyone's scrambling for real money, you'll already have it. But precious metals are just one piece of the puzzle. Because when things get really bad, there's something even more valuable than silver or gold. Item 5. Medical supplies and medications. Okay, this one's gonna shock you. Right now, as I'm talking to you, there are 270 active drug shortages happening in America. That's not during a crisis, that's today. And here's the kicker. More than 40% of these shortages started in 2022 or earlier. We're talking about shortages that have been going on for years. Let me paint you a picture. Last month, a mom in Minnesota woke up at 5:30 a.m. because her 4-year-old had a painful ear infection. She needed children's pain medication, something every parent should be able to grab at any store, right? Wrong. She had to hunt through multiple stores and could only find 3 bottles left with no generics available. This is happening right now during normal times. But wait, it gets worse. Almost 500,000 cancer patients were impacted by just 2 critical drug shortages this year. We're talking about life-saving chemotherapy drugs. And if you think ADHD meds or insulin are safe, think again. ADHD medications like Adderall and insulin are currently on the shortage list. Here's what you need to understand. If proposed tariffs go through, half the country's generic drugs could become even more scarce since they come from overseas. So, what do? First, stock up on over-the-counter basics. I'm talking pain relievers, allergy meds, cold and flu remedies, vitamins, anything your family uses regularly. Not just because over-the-counter supplies disappear from shelves during crises, but because basic first aid could save lives when medical attention becomes too expensive. Second, if you're on prescription medications, talk to your doctor about getting 90-day supplies instead of 30. Build up that buffer while you can. And third, and this is huge, learn basic first aid. Knowledge is the one thing you can hoard that never takes up space and never expires. YouTube University is free, people. Use it. Look, I'm not trying to scare you, but actually, yeah, maybe I am. Because the average drug shortage impacts about 500,000 people, and most of them are between 65 and 85. Your parents, your grandparents, they're the most vulnerable. When the pharmacies look like empty grocery stores during lockdown, you'll be glad you prepared. Speaking of empty stores, let's talk about the next thing that disappears faster than toilet paper during a pandemic. Item 6. Fuel and alternative energy. All right, here's where things get real. I'm going to tell you a story that'll make your blood run cold, and then I'll show you exactly how to never let it happen to your family. February 2021. Texas. Remember this? Over 4.5 million people, Gone. No power for days. And here's the part that'll blow your mind. At least 246 people died. Not from the cold directly, but from what happened when people got desperate. Listen to this. Families were running their cars in garages to stay warm, using camp stoves inside their living rooms. One family, 3 people from the same household, died from carbon monoxide poisoning from a faulty generator they didn't know how to use properly. And that was just one storm. Right now, I mean literally right now, America's power grid is hanging by a thread. The experts are screaming about it. We've got AI data centers sucking up insane amounts of electricity, and our aging infrastructure can't keep up. Georgia officials are literally having to pause data center projects because they're running out of power to give them. Get this, just last month in Europe, a massive blackout hit Spain and Portugal. 7 people died. One 77-year-old woman was on a ventilator at home, and when the power went out, her backup battery died and help didn't arrive in time. So, yeah, generators. Everyone thinks they need one, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The supply chain for generators is totally screwed right now. Major companies like Generac and Cummins have had to discontinue entire product lines because they can't get the engines. We're talking about generators from 22 kilowatts to 60 kilowatts, just gone. Discontinued. And even if you do find a generator, you still need fuel. During that Texas freeze, guess what happened to gas stations? They were powerless too. No electricity means no pumps. People were driving around for hours looking for gas that didn't exist. But here's the thing, smart people aren't just buying one generator. They're building what I call a power pyramid. Level 1, propane. Store multiple 20-pound tanks. Why? Because propane stores forever, works in freezing weather, and you can cook with it too. Dual fuel generators that run on both gas and propane are your best friend. Level 2, kerosene heaters. These are backup gold. 1 gallon of kerosene can heat a room for 14 hours, and unlike gasoline, kerosene stores safely for years. Level 3, batteries. And I'm not talking about AAs. Get yourself heavy-duty deep-cycle batteries like the ones for RVs. Hook them up to an inverter and boom, silent power for essentials. But here's where it gets really smart. Solar generators are having their moment right now. The new EcoFlow Delta Pro can put out 3,600 watts. That's enough to run your fridge, lights, and charge your phones for days. And the best part? No fuel needed. The sun does all the work. I'm talking about units with 3,000 watt-hours of storage that can recharge themselves with solar panels in just a few hours. The Jackery Explorer 3000 Pro weighs 63 pounds, but has wheels. You can literally roll it from room to room or throw it in your car if you need to evacuate. But listen, and this is critical, do not wait until everyone else figures this out. Remember what happened during COVID with toilet paper? Well, when the next big outage hits, generators will be the new toilet paper. The writing's on the wall, people. Power outages are increasing, the grid's failing, and the folks who prepare now will be the ones keeping their families safe and comfortable while their neighbors are in the dark, literally and figuratively. Next up, we're talking about something that could literally save your life during the chaos. Item 7, tools and repair supplies. Okay, here's a story that'll blow your mind. During Venezuela's economic collapse, where inflation hit 42,000%, there was this plumber named Carlos. While doctors and lawyers were literally trading their wedding rings for a loaf of bread, Carlos became the richest guy in his neighborhood. Why? Because he could fix things. See, when society starts crumbling, your college degree doesn't mean squat. But the guy who can fix a leaky pipe, the woman who can repair a broken generator, they become kings and queens of the new economy. And here's the crazy part. You don't need to become a master craftsman overnight. You just need the right tools and some basic knowledge. I'm talking about a good set of hand tools, screwdrivers, wrenches, hammers. But here's the secret weapon that most people overlook. Duct tape. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but listen to this. Duct tape has such a complex manufacturing process that during a crisis, it becomes incredibly scarce and valuable. Right now, you can grab a roll for like $3. During the next collapse, that same roll could be worth 30. And it's not just about the money, guys. When your neighbor's roof is leaking and hardware stores are empty, that roll of duct tape could literally save their house. Suddenly, you're not just the guy with supplies. You're the hero of the block. So here's what you do. Grab a basic toolbox, throw in some fasteners, screws, nails, get yourself 5 rolls of duct tape in different colors. And maybe, just maybe, watch a few YouTube videos on basic repairs. Trust me, future you will thank present you when you're the only person who knows how to fix a broken window or patch a hole. But tools are just the beginning. Number 8 on our list is something that's been keeping people happy for thousands of years. Number 8. Bartering items. The new underground economy. All right, here's something that's going to blow your mind. Right now, as we speak, there's an entire country where people are literally trading cigarettes for bread. I'm talking about Venezuela, where their inflation hit an absolutely insane 130,000% just a few years ago. Picture this. You walk into a store with a stack of money. This tall. And it's not enough to buy a single loaf of bread. That's not some apocalypse movie. That's real life happening right now in 2025. So what did people do? They went back to the Stone Age, basically. But here's the crazy part. It wasn't rocks and sticks they were trading. The smart ones who saw it coming, they were hoarding the right stuff. A survivor from the Bosnian crisis said something that still gives me chills. He said coffee and cigarettes became like gold. Literally. People would trade a week's worth of food for a single pack of cigarettes or a small bag of coffee beans. Now, I'm not saying you should start smoking or drinking if you don't already, but listen to what I'm about to tell you, because this could literally save your family's life. First up, alcohol. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out. During the Great Depression, a bottle of whiskey could get you a month's worth of groceries. Why? Because when people's world is falling apart, they want something to take the edge off. Plus, alcohol has medical uses. It's a disinfectant, pain reliever, and it never goes bad. Here's what most people don't know. You don't need the expensive stuff. A $15 bottle of vodka could be worth $150 in trade value during a crisis. And those little airline bottles, pure gold for bartering because they're perfect single-serving sizes. Coffee. Oh man, this one's huge. In Bosnia, people said coffee became more valuable than medicine. Think about it. Half the country is literally addicted to caffeine. When Starbucks closes and grocery stores are empty, who's going to have that instant coffee stash? Instant coffee packets are brilliant for this. They're lightweight, they last forever, and you can trade them one at a time. I'm talking about those little individual packets. Each one could be worth a meal during hyperinflation. Then there's tobacco and cigarettes. Now, I know smoking's terrible for you, but we're talking about survival here. Nearly half of Americans have some kind of addiction, and when people are stressed out of their minds, they're going to want their vices. A carton of cigarettes that cost you $60 today could easily trade for $600 worth of supplies in a crisis. One guy I read about said he traded a single pack for 3 days worth of food for his family. And here's a fun one. Chocolate and candy. I know, it sounds silly. But when was the last time you went more than a week without something sweet? During the siege of Sarajevo, people said chocolate was like having a little piece of heaven. Hard candies are perfect because they last practically forever. A bag of Jolly Ranchers that cost you $3 could keep your family fed for days through trading. But here's the thing that most prepper channels won't tell you. Timing is everything. In Venezuela right now, people started private Facebook groups just to trade goods. They use hashtags like #trueque, which means barter in Spanish, to find trading partners. The people who are surviving, they're the ones who started stocking up on this stuff before the crisis hit. Not after the grocery stores were empty, not when their money became worthless. Before. Look, I'm not saying the US is going to turn into Venezuela tomorrow, but economic experts are literally warning that 2025 could be the year everything changes. And when it does, you want to be the person with a closet full of trading gold, not the person desperately searching for it. Start small. Next time you're at the store, grab an extra bottle of cheap vodka, some instant coffee packets, maybe a carton of cigarettes if you can afford it. Tuck them away somewhere safe and dry. Your future self might just thank you for it. But there's one category of items that's even more critical than luxury goods, and most people completely ignore it until it's too late. Item 9. Personal hygiene and sanitation. All right, let's talk about something nobody wants to discuss, but everyone's going to need: personal hygiene and sanitation. And look, I get it. This isn't the sexiest topic, but here's a reality check that'll wake you up fast. You know what killed more people during the 1918 flu pandemic than the actual virus? Poor sanitation. Seriously. When systems break down, basic cleanliness becomes literally life or death. And right now, with supply chains already stretched thin, these items are going to vanish faster than toilet paper did in 2020. First up, garbage bags. I'm talking heavy-duty, contractor-grade bags. Why? Because when your trash pickup stops coming, when your septic system backs up, when you're dealing with medical waste, these bags become your frontline defense against disease. Stock up on at least 200 bags, different sizes. Trust me on this. Soap. And I mean real soap, not just hand sanitizer. Bar soap lasts forever, doesn't need electricity, and fun fact, it's literally more effective against viruses than most fancy sanitizers. Get unscented because scented stuff attracts insects and rodents. Here's something crazy. Feminine hygiene products are now being recognized as essential survival items by FEMA. We're talking about half the population here, folks. These products have a shelf life of 5+ years and will become absolute gold in a crisis. And cleaning supplies? Bleach, disinfectants, laundry detergent? When was the last time you saw empty shelves at the store? March 2020, right? Multiply that panic by 10 when people realize this isn't a 2-week lockdown. Item 10. Seeds and growing supplies. Now here's where we shift from surviving to actually thriving. And this one's kind of beautiful, actually. We're talking about seeds and growing supplies. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. One packet of heirloom tomato seeds costs like $3 and can produce up to 200 pounds of food. That's better than any investment portfolio right now, especially with food inflation hitting 25% in some areas. My neighbor started growing food during COVID, just as a hobby. Fast forward to today, she's feeding her family of 4 with fresh vegetables year-round and saving over $3,000 annually on groceries. That's real money back in your pocket. But here's the key. Heirloom seeds. Not hybrid, not GMO. Heirloom seeds produce plants that make more seeds, so you're basically creating a renewable food source forever. These seeds can last 10, 20 years if stored properly in a cool, dry place. Start with easy stuff. Beans, lettuce, tomatoes, herbs. Get basic gardening tools now while they're cheap. A shovel, hand trowel, watering can. Nothing fancy. And here's a pro tip. Learn to preserve what you grow. Canning, dehydrating, fermentation. Because what good is a huge harvest if it all rots? Vertical growing systems are exploding right now. You can grow food indoors, year-round with LED lights. The initial setup costs about $200, but you're looking at fresh food regardless of weather, season, or supply chain issues. Item 11. Knowledge and skills. And finally, the most important thing you can hoard. And this one's completely free. Knowledge and skills. Here's the brutal truth nobody talks about. When things go sideways, the people who survive aren't the ones with the most stuff. They're the ones who know how to do things, fix things, make things, heal things. I was talking to this guy who lived through the economic collapse in Argentina. You know what he said was most valuable? Not gold, not food stockpiles. It was the guy who could fix cars, the woman who knew herbal medicine, the neighbor who could repair electronics. These people never went hungry because everyone needed their skills. So what skills should you learn? Basic first aid. I'm talking tourniquet application, wound care, CPR. Food preservation, canning, smoking, fermentation, basic repairs, plumbing, electrical, mechanical. Even something like sewing becomes incredibly valuable when new clothes aren't available. But here's the secret sauce. Build these relationships now. Join local groups, take classes, help your neighbors, because the strongest communities are the ones that survive and thrive together. Lone wolves don't make it in real crises. And here's something interesting. Digital skills are becoming survival skills too. Know how to use ham radios, solar power systems, water filtration tech? The future isn't about going back to the Stone Age. It's about combining old wisdom with new technology. Look, you can buy all the supplies in the world, but if you don't know how to use them, if you can't adapt, if you can't work with others, you're just a really well-stocked victim. So pick one skill this month. Just one. Learn it, practice it, master it. Because when everyone else is panicking, you'll be the person they turn to for help. And that is true security. All right, here's what you're going to do right now. Pick one item from this list, just one, and get it this week. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for next month. Don't make excuses. Drop a comment and tell me which item you're starting with. I read every single one. And if this video just opened your eyes to what's coming, smash that subscribe button because I've got more crisis prep content that could literally save your family. The clock's ticking, people. Don't be the one caught empty-handed when this hits.